Hey guys, James MC Reviews here, and I'm back. Sorry I took a little while, but I needed some time to rest and work on some other stuff after the Halloween videos, which again, thank you all for watching. I greatly appreciate it. But I'm back, and I'm here to talk about a video game. Today, I'm going to be reviewing Spider-Man Miles Morales, developed by Insomniac Games. This is the new semi-sequel to Insomniac's first Spider-Man game, and it was released as a launch title for the brand new PS5. Now, I played the PS4 version because I'm a broke bitch, but this won't factor into my final ranking. I will be judging the version that I played on its own. So, with all that out of the way, let's get into the review. Starting off with the story, the game takes place roughly a year after the events of the first game. Miles Morales has been training with Peter Parker to take on the responsibilities of Spider-Man while Peter is on vacation. And within a matter of a day, Miles gets wrapped up in the middle of an intense battle between the corrupt forces of Roxxon and the high-tech crime gang known as the Underground. So Miles must rise to the occasion to protect his city of Harlem and stop the bad guys from destroying everything. One of the strongest aspects of the first game was its Peter Parker storyline. Getting to see the dude underneath the mask deal with real struggles, not just as a superhero, but in his personal life, was what made the game so engaging. And Insomniac have delivered yet another gripping, emotional, high-intensity story with this game. They do a really good job getting you to connect with Miles as a character. We see him under constant pressure because he wants to do right by the original Spider-Man and earn the respect of the city. But fitting in with the game's tagline, he learns that if he wants to do things right, he has to be himself. There's also reveals with certain characters that I won't spoil just in case you're still playing it or you haven't played it yet, but they brilliantly connect the struggles of Miles and the struggle of Spider-Man. He knows these people are doing wrong things and he has to stop them, but he also doesn't want to hurt them. And that makes for some very intense and emotional moments. The biggest complaint I have with the story, however, is the pacing. If you cut out all the side missions and just focus on the main campaign, this is a very short game. And this does factor into the pacing of the story, whereas in the original game, the story gave you enough time with the characters to let certain events sink in. This game travels at a breakneck speed and doesn't really let moments that should be important feel important. This didn't really detract from my experience, but I still wish the game was a bit longer. Next up is visuals, and regardless of the fact that this game's sole purpose is to show off the new graphical improvements of the PS5, even on the PS4 Pro, this game is gorgeous. The game takes place during the holidays, and I love it. I think the snowy landscape of New York is beautiful. I think it has great lighting and color. The transitions between the cutscenes and the gameplay is seamless. The animation and the motion capture is absolutely amazing. Like I said, I'm aware that this is most likely nothing compared to the PS5 version, but judging this version on its own, it's still very impressive. Next up is gameplay, and this is where the game has some major improvements over the original. Starting off with the missions, both the main story and the side missions have a very diverse range of tasks and objectives to keep the game interesting. There are never any moments that feel boring or pointless. Even some of the lighter tasks I still enjoy doing. Like in the original game, you'd have these missions where you'd play as MJ and you'd have to sneak past a bunch of security guards to get from point A to point B, and they just felt unnecessary and slowed the game down and didn't really add much. Those types of missions are absent from this game, and all the better for it. In terms of controls, these are relatively unchanged. The swinging is just as fun and fluent as ever. The combat is very bouncy and full of momentum. In fact, it's gotten an upgrade with the inclusion of Miles' new powers like Venom Strike and Invisibility. These add a new bit of flair to the combat and makes pulling off certain combos and moves all the more awesome and rewarding. The game ran really smoothly, save for a few frame rate dips and a couple minor glitches, but nothing too distracting. The camera is a bit of a mixed bag. About 95% of the time it's good, but there would be a few times where combat got so intense and the camera would just get stuck in very awkward angles. But like I said, this happened very little. Overall, the gameplay managed to retain the fun of the original while updating the mechanics to fit this new hyperactive Spider Youth. Last but not least, sound effects, music, and voice acting. This game sounds fantastic. The first one did too, but like most things I've mentioned, this game has just a different energy when it comes to the sound. The music mixes that really epic score from the first game with the sounds of Harlem, and they mesh surprisingly well together. The mixing is really well done. Nothing felt too high, too low, or too hollow. It was just a super immersive experience all around. Finally, the voice cast absolutely knocks it out of the park. Nadji Jeter is so charismatic and likable, and he's honestly in stiff competition with Shameik Moore as the best Miles. He plays the lightheartedness and the drama so well. Jasmine Savory Brown does a really well as Finn. She plays up the frustration of trying to pull off this plan to avenge her brother without hurting her best friend. Troy Baker, even though his character was really cliched, did a good job playing the dickhead corporate villain. Ike Amadi was really good as Uncle Aaron, though I do think the Spider-Verse movie did him better. And even though he has a majorly reduced role, Yuri Lowenthal is just as charming as Peter Parker, even if that face does take some getting used to. So with all this in mind, what are my final thoughts on the game? Honestly, I like it more than the first game. It has a great story, fun missions and challenges, it looks and controls beautifully. Yeah, it's very short, but I feel like that kind of fits. Miles, by his own nature, is meant to be a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, so it makes sense that his entry into this video game universe is much smaller scale and more intimate. Plus, this leaves the door open for bigger stories in future games. And with that end credits teaser, I am more than willing to bet that there'll be more games. Insomniac has 2 fantastic Spider-Man games under their belt, and I am already excited for a potential third game. If you're planning on getting a PS5, then I'm willing to bet you're already gonna buy this game anyway, especially because it comes bundled with a remastered version of the first game. But even if you only have a PS4, I'd still recommend giving this a buy. You won't be disappointed. Going to my ranking, I'm giving Spider-Man Miles Morales a 4 out of 5. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know down in the comments if you played Miles Morales, what do you think of it? Have you played the original? Which game is better? Let me know all that stuff down in the comments. I really enjoy doing these game reviews. I mean, I was gonna play this game regardless, so the fact that I get to, gush about it for however long is really just an added bonus. So if you guys like these and you want me to talk about some more games, I actually have one. Hold on a second. So I was actually gifted the Avengers PS4 game for my birthday a while back by my girlfriend, and even though I greatly appreciate that you got this for me and I appreciate the thought and I love you, this game has been an absolute slog to get through. I'm just gonna put it brutally honest. The gameplay is really boring, the story hasn't really grabbed me all that much, and I have just I've only gotten a few levels into it and I have just lost the motivation to play it. And I know that it's a couple months old at this point and everyone's kind of already talked about it, but I feel bad, the fact that she spent all that money to get this for me and I don't do a review of it. So if this video does well and if you guys want to see me cover this video game, let me know and I will do my best to get through it in a timely fashion and get that video up for you guys. So there you go. I will be back with some more videos very, very soon, but until then, be sure to like, subscribe, ring the notification bell so you can stay up to date on what I'm posting. Follow me on all my social media, subscribe to my main channel, everything you need to know will be in the description. Thank you guys so much for watching, and remember, be great.